Hey everybody, welcome back to the Royal Sussex Squad. It's your place for the real story, unfiltered and unbought, where we speak truth with love, passion, and a whole lot of receipts. And today, I need you all to sit down and buckle up, because what we're witnessing is one of the most shameless, coordinated and relentless attacks on Prince Harry, and it is playing out right in front of our eyes, right in plain sight. So let's get into it. While the British media continues to obsessively nitpick and smear Prince Harry from across the Atlantic, the man himself is busy doing the work. Not for show, not for applause, but because service is in his DNA. Harry was in Las Vegas this week at the Knowledge 25 conference, standing proud in support of the Diana Award, something he's done for years. This time, he helped launch the Pledge to Invest initiative, a powerful campaign to support and uplift young changemakers around the globe. It was dignified, quiet, purposeful. And yet, outside of a few respectful images posted by Sussex.com and the Diana Award itself, the British press could barely be bothered. Not a single swarm of paparazzi, no tabloid helicopters hovering above, no sneaky zoom lens photos plastered all over the front page. Why? Because there was no scandal to manufacture. There was no dirt to spin. This was Prince Harry doing what he always does, leading with integrity and staying laser-focused on impact, not attention. But while Harry was busy honouring his late mother's legacy with grace and substance, back in the UK, the vultures were circling. The royal establishment had themselves a little meltdown. All because the BBC, for once, dared to show a sliver of integrity. They aired a straightforward professional interview with Richard H., a respected security analyst. And in that interview, Mr. H. simply said what many of us have known all along, that Harry losing his security case wasn't just unfortunate, it was part of a bigger, more insidious campaign, a stitch-up, an establishment stitch-up. Now let's just stop there for a second. Because when a professional analyst with no Sussex bias comes out and says, yes, something here doesn't smell right, the establishment doesn't refute it with facts. No, they start calling in favours. Suddenly the BBC is grovelling, issuing a public apology for what they called a lapse in editorial standards. Are you kidding me? That's not journalism. That's cowardice dressed up in palace etiquette. That's the monarchy calling the shots behind the scenes because heaven forbid the truth peek through the cracks. This is how broken the system is. Prince Harry, a man who served 2 tours in Afghanistan, a man who's been targeted by extremists and unhinged racists thanks to the media's obsessive hatred for his wife, simply asked to pay for the police security that would allow him to keep his family safe when in the UK. He didn't ask for a handout. He didn't demand special treatment. He said, "Let me pay for it myself." And they said no. Let that sink in. The British government denied him the right to pay out of his own pocket for protection. Why? Because if they gave him that right, they would have to acknowledge that he is still a target. They would have to admit that the threats are real. And they would have to accept that walking away from the royal family didn't mean walking away from the dangerous consequences of their media machine. And now, here come the royalist cheerleaders with their nasty little pens and sneering commentary, doing the dirty work of the establishment from the safety of their newsrooms. Marina Hyde, writing for The Guardian, a paper that used to pride itself on holding power to account, decided to jump in with a snide column dripping in sarcasm and palace spin. She actually had the audacity to ask why Harry doesn't just pay for his own security. Excuse me? Has she not been paying attention, or does she just not care? Because Harry did offer to pay. That's literally what the entire court case was about. The Home Office shut him down and told him essentially, "You left the firm, so you're on your own." Imagine the gall. Imagine telling a man you're denying him protection, not because the threat isn't real, but because your ego can't handle his independence. And what's worse is that people like Marina Hyde continue to gaslight the public into thinking Harry's being unreasonable, spoiled, or entitled, when the reality is he's fighting for his right to safety, for his wife's right to move without fear, for his children's right to visit their father's homeland without being treated like outsiders. That's not entitlement, that's parenthood, that's responsibility. This is the game, folks. Demonize Harry, ridicule Meghan, push them out, then punish them for daring to protect themselves. It is cruelty wrapped in protocol. It is racism coated in royal gold. And it's not just unfair, it's downright disgusting. You know what's really eating them up? It's the fact that even after all the smear campaigns, the leaks, the lies, the sources close to the palace nonsense, Harry and Meghan are still standing, still shining, still serving. They have built their own legacy away from that dysfunctional family business. They have created safe spaces, charitable foundations, documentaries and award-winning content. They have chosen light, and the people can see it. The establishment can't control them anymore. And nothing scares that institution more than a former insider who knows the truth and refuses to play along. So let the BBC apologise. Let The Guardian embarrass itself with bootlicking editorials. Let the palace pretend that all is well in Windsor while throwing tantrums behind closed doors. Because none of it will change the fact that Prince Harry and Meghan Markle are living proof that you can walk away from toxicity and still thrive. They are not the villains, they are the survivors. And as for us, we will not be gaslit, we will not be silenced, and we will not stop showing up for the Sussexes the way they have shown up for us and for causes that truly matter. So if you're listening to this and your heart is burning with frustration, but also pride, because you see Harry and Meghan for the kind, brilliant, compassionate people they are, then I want you to do something right now. Hit that subscribe button. Become part of this squad, this movement, this mission to stand up against injustice and lift up the truth. Leave a comment, let your voice be heard, and if you're feeling especially supportive, you can donate to the channel using the super thanks button. Every bit helps keep this platform strong and independent, just like the Sussexes themselves. The establishment stitch-up of Prince Harry continues unabated through the press. Prince Harry was in Las Vegas this week for the Diana Award. There are few photos from his public appearance. The Diana Award posted one photo of Harry on stage, and I've seen some pics on sussex.com, but there were no paparazzi pics of Harry in or around the venue. Harry's appearance was at the Knowledge 25 conference, and he helped launch the Diana Awards Pledge to Invest initiative. Meanwhile, everyone is still obviously talking about Harry's BBC interview and the loss of his security appeal. King Charles and Buckingham Palace threw such a massive tantrum, the BBC had to apologise for their lapse in standards when they aired an interview with security analyst Richard H. That was the interview in which H agreed with Harry that the court loss was part of an establishment stitch-up. The establishment, which has spent 5+ years stitching up the Sussexes, does not appreciate being called out, so they continue to pull strings and whine about it. Speaking of, The Guardian published a column by Marina Hyde in which she busied herself with palace lies, obfuscation and royalist bullshit. One of her biggest points is that Harry should pay for his own security. Gee, why didn't he think of that? Oh right, he pays for his own private security, and he repeatedly offered to pay back the cost of British protection. He even went to court several years ago to see if he could arrange to pay back the costs of police protection in the UK. They told him, no, you can't pay it back because you're not getting security because you left the royal family. I'm not going to excerpt anything from Hyde's column, but it's completely asinine, and The Guardian should be ashamed of this royal boot-licking. Thank you for riding with me today. Thank you for being part of the Royal Sussex Squad family. Until next time, keep your heads high, your minds sharp, and your hearts open. Because we don't just talk about it, we ride for our faves every day. And always remember, when they try to bring Harry and Meghan down, they only reveal how powerful they really are. Stay strong, stay proud, and stay Sussex.